Have you allocated more to China in the last 3 months?
There hasn't been allocation more allocation to China in the past few months, but there was an allocation beforehand. And why is that? Because whenever there's a lot of gloominess in markets around China, right? And from our perspective, whenever there's gloominess, usually there are opportunities. Valuations have been at very, very, very low levels at a time when policymakers are making a pivot. And also at a time when there doesn't seem to be a lot of belief that policymakers either get it or they can do something about it. But the way that we think about what's been happening is, if China has been on a deleveraging path, we all know that that's the right thing to do. And this goes sort of before COVID. So China's been on a deleveraging path. What they've been trying to do essentially is the high-end manufacturing, they want that to work and step away from the old economy. Now, post-COVID, I think that they expected the opening up to have boosted the consumption, and that would have given them time for the for the deleveraging to take place essentially to allow that deleveraging to take place. But that has not happened, and obviously that has been a bit more disappointing in year to date. That has shifted to a pivot from policymakers, and yeah.
Okay, so here's my question. You're saying that China's on a deleveraging path, right? Why is the property sector still in a mess then?
Well, if you're in the deleveraging path, property obviously will take sort of will be the patient on that front. But at the same time, what policymakers I think are trying to focus on is the consumption story, and that goes through the confidence, right? Confidence right now is at very, very low levels. It's at levels that we haven't seen since the trough of COVID. That has to change. So I think policymakers are doing incremental measures. Now, incremental doesn't mean insignificant, and it's been piecemeal, but piecemeal has been accelerating in recent weeks. So we take comfort in the direction of travel on that front. We think that the GDP growth, the target level of 5%, will probably be met. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to take one more question on China, and that's because you've allocated more to the market in the last couple of quarters. When do you see returns picking up for equities, for equity investments there?
I think there's two sides to the equity returns. There's the earnings story and there's the multiple story. Right now, both are sort of on the more depressed side. On the multiple side, as we see more easing, that can sort of put a floor onto the multiples and allow actually for some acceleration as and when we see better data, as we have been seeing more recently, again, on the retail sales side, on industrial production, on even sort of PMIs. So that can help somewhat on the multiple side. For the earnings story to come through, I think that's where we need to see consumer confidence pick up meaningfully. We have not seen that yet. I think that story is probably going to happen later on. But again, policy has shifted, and that's very, very important.